Imagine for a moment that you're fleeing your home country. You're forced to leave your home because of a certain religious belief that you practice. Ultimately, I think these are some tough questions that we have to ask. And I'm here today to discuss this very question. Hi, I'm Tyler Cornelius, and today I'd like to discuss should countries prioritize refugees who are persecuted based on their religious belief. I believe ultimately there has to be a balance between humanitarian responsibility and national security, meaning we have to make sure that we are paying attention to people who are persecuted based on their religious beliefs and making sure that we understand that is a true threat to people's lives, while also maintaining the understanding that if we accept these people, we have to maintain a certain level of national security, lawful immigration, and they also have to be able to assimilate into our society. So, first, let's talk about that, and that would be the government's responsibilities to its citizens in regards to letting refugees into the country. Refugees, there's no question, they deserve protection. In fact, the UN recognizes religious persecution as a reason for being considered a refugee. Government's first duty, ultimately, though, is to its citizens. We have to maintain public safety. We have to make sure we are paying attention to our national security, meaning we have to be careful who and what region we're letting people into our country from, because these could be people who we are not vetting properly, and they could be dangerous, and we don't want to put our citizens at risk because we've failed to make sure we pay attention who we're letting in. It comes down to making practical decisions, which is something that economist and academic Thomas Sowell believes in, making practical decisions based on data and research and just a look at how history has played out based on previous happenings in our history as human beings in regards to letting in refugees to other countries. So he believes that screening is important, and I would have to agree. So, what is religious persecution? Basically, it's when a certain group, is targeted in a negative way. Often they're thrown in jail, or in some cases, they're killed. And it's based on what they believe religiously. If it doesn't align with the country of origin's beliefs as a whole. And that's very common, especially in the Middle East. Ultimately, the main groups of people, religions that are targeted, are Christians, they're Jews, and Muslims. There are other minorities, but ultimately all these minorities and all people who practice certain religions are protected under international law. It's my personal belief that we do have to help those who are facing a legitimate danger. And we also have to maintain an orderly refugee system. Victor Davis Hanson, another academic and scholar, believes that immigration is more than just an entry into a certain country. You also have to embrace the laws of that country. You have to also agree and try to practice its civic values. And finally, what does a balanced policy look like? It looks like we're paying attention truly to the ongoing refugee crisis, which there is one. But we also, as I said before, need to balance humanitarian aid with national interests. We need to protect genuine victims instead of just looking at places as a whole and just letting anybody and everybody in, which goes hand in hand with careful screening, making sure that we're allowing lawful immigration, when it means kind of slowing things down, which allows for more of an assimilation into society from these certain groups and refugees. And we also just have to make sure that it's benefiting our citizens as well as the refugee, instead of being one-sided. To wrap it up, as my conclusion, I would say the government's responsibility is to balance between compassion and national interests. Religious persecution deserves a priority. It's dangerous and it's terrible what these people have to go through simply because they believe a certain thing. And humanitarian values and national security can work together, but we have to make sure we have strong policy that protects both refugees and its citizens, the citizens of the country of origin, or not origin, but the one the new refugees are coming to. But thanks for listening to my speech, and I hope you have a great night.